Have you ever walked into a room and just felt the energy shift? Do you sometimes sense that someone's hiding something but can't quite explain why? What if you could understand people not just by what they say, but by what they don't say? Reading people isn't about manipulation. It's about awareness. It's about sharpening your perception so you're no longer blindsided by hidden motives or false intentions. In today's world, where connection is shallow and authenticity is rare, knowing how to see people clearly is one of the most valuable life skills you can master. If you're ready to elevate your emotional intelligence and build unshakable confidence in your social instincts, hit that subscribe button. Let's uncover the psychological tools that turn ordinary interactions into powerful insights. 1. Learn to observe, not judge. Most people react before they truly observe. The first step in reading others is learning to silence your internal commentary. Watch without labeling, notice without assuming. The mind, when left unchecked, races to conclusions based on incomplete data and inherited biases. To observe like a Stoic is to train your perception, to detach from the noise of ego, emotion, and projection. That's not easy in a world that rewards instant reactions, but it's necessary if you want to see reality clearly. Stoicism teaches us to suspend judgment, to see things as they are. This isn't just for dealing with hardship, it's the key to understanding others. When you drop your biases, you allow yourself to really see what's happening. Judgment is a veil. It clouds your ability to receive what is truly there. Seneca wrote that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. The same can be said about our relationships. We misunderstand others not because they hide from us, but because we don't bother to look beyond our assumptions. Are they fidgeting? Do their words contradict their body language? Are they leaning in or away? Truth is usually hiding in plain sight. You just have to slow down enough to see it. The Stoic observer isn't passive. They're deeply attentive, but not emotionally entangled. You look with a still mind, like a calm surface reflecting everything around it. The signs are always there. The micro-expressions, the shifts in tone, the flicker in the eyes. But most miss them because they're too focused on reacting or being heard. Silencing your internal judgment doesn't mean you become indifferent. It means you become precise. You strip away the drama. You stop labeling someone as angry, weak, or lying, and instead, you notice. That's it. You watch patterns form over time. A Stoic sees others not as threats or tools, but as fellow beings subject to the same flaws and pressures. This perspective not only sharpens your social awareness, it increases your compassion. Because when you truly observe someone without judgment, you begin to understand them. And with understanding comes wisdom. Observation is a discipline. It's the act of holding back the urge to define what you don't fully know. It's admitting that you don't yet see the full picture, and that humility creates space for learning. In interpersonal situations, this means you're no longer thrown off by surface-level behavior. You understand that a harsh word may mask fear, that silence may indicate deep thought, that a smile may be a mask. You see things as layered, not simple. That's the gift of Stoic observation. It opens your eyes while keeping your heart steady.
2. The power of eye contact and silence. Eye contact reveals more than words ever could. When you maintain it calmly and without fear, people start to show you who they really are. There's something ancient and disarming about a steady gaze. It pierces through pretense. Most people either avoid it or use it aggressively. But the Stoic gaze is neither. It is grounded. It doesn't seek to control, but to connect. When your eyes are steady, you create a quiet space of truth, and in that space, people reveal themselves, often involuntarily. Combine that with silence, and you create space for truth to surface. Most people feel compelled to fill silence. They'll reveal more than they intend if you stay grounded. Silence is not emptiness, it's a crucible. In silence, the mind races, insecurities rise, truths slip out. If you're comfortable being quiet, others become uncomfortable enough to show you their inner workings. The Stoics knew this, that by holding space, through presence and restraint, you give others the chance to unfold. Use this as a Stoic would, not to dominate, but to observe. Your presence alone becomes a mirror. Let their discomfort or honesty emerge without forcing it. You're not there to manipulate, you're there to witness. Just as a clear lake reflects whatever is placed before it, your silence and gaze reflect the person in front of you. And many are not ready for their own reflection. That's why people fidget under true eye contact. It strips away artifice. It demands nothing, yet it demands everything. Silence and eye contact require inner stability. You cannot wield them effectively if you're anxious or aggressive. That's why Stoic discipline matters. You don't maintain eye contact to win a battle. You do it to see clearly. You don't use silence to intimidate. You use it to listen. The combination of the two is powerful because it roots you in the present moment. You're not chasing approval or trying to impress. You're simply there, fully. Many misunderstand these tools as tactics, but in the Stoic sense, they're not tactics. They're manifestations of your internal state. Calm eye contact means you're not afraid. Silence means you're not desperate to be understood. And when you live from that place, people instinctively sense it. They speak more honestly, they reveal inconsistencies, they drop their guard. Why? Because your energy tells them, I am not here to harm or judge, I am here to see.
3. Understand baseline behavior. You can't read what's out of place if you don't know what's normal for someone. That's called establishing a baseline. In psychology, this is the foundation of all accurate behavioral analysis. Without a baseline, every twitch, pause, or sigh could be misread. But once you know how someone typically speaks, moves, reacts, you'll instantly spot what deviates. The Stoic observer makes this a quiet practice. Watch over time, never rushing to interpret. Everyone has a rhythm, speech patterns, gestures, posture. When those shift, that's your signal. But it takes patience and detachment, two Stoic virtues, to track that over time. You don't become obsessed, you become attuned. You note when someone who's usually expressive becomes quiet, or when a confident person suddenly avoids eye contact, or when a normally slow speaker begins rushing. These aren't conclusions, they're cues, and the Stoic knows not to act on cues without understanding the full picture. You don't confront, you observe. You don't jump to conclusions, you note patterns. Master this, and you'll see deception or stress before it erupts into chaos. Someone's shift in tone, a hesitation before answering, a subtle retreat of the shoulders. These things speak volumes when you know what's typical for them. But knowing what's typical isn't possible without sustained, impartial observation. This is the discipline most people lack, the patience to watch without interfering, and the wisdom to wait before interpreting. Think of it like watching the tide. You don't panic when the waves pull back slightly, you know the pattern. But when the sea behaves differently, the experienced eye knows something is coming. People are no different. Once you've attuned to their baseline, the deviations become alerts, not emergencies, alerts. From there, you choose how to respond, or whether to respond at all. This is Stoic prudence in action, not acting from impulse, but from informed clarity. The benefit of understanding baseline behavior is that it trains you in nuance. You no longer react to surface behaviors, you begin to see undercurrents. This gives you an edge not to manipulate, but to lead with insight. You become more effective in relationships, more grounded in conflict, and more aware of emotional undercurrents in any room. That's what the Stoic cultivates, not control over others, but clarity over oneself. And that clarity, in turn, reveals the truth in others. 4. Microexpressions tell the truth. Our faces betray us. A twitch, a wrinkle, a flash of emotion. These fleeting expressions are windows into the soul. A well-composed person might master their words, rehearse their story, and project an image that seems calm, composed, and calculated. But the face rarely lies. Beneath every controlled presentation is a current of emotion: anger, sadness, surprise, disgust, contempt, fear, or joy, surfacing in micro-bursts. These expressions may last less than a fifth of a second, but to a trained eye, they offer a piercing look into what someone is actually feeling in the moment, regardless of what they say. Microexpressions are involuntary. They often last less than a second, but they tell you exactly what someone feels before their mask returns. Unlike deliberate expressions, microexpressions bypass conscious control. They leak out in the split second before the brain filters emotion through social acceptability. That's why you might see someone smile politely while their eyes flicker with disdain, or watch them nod while a flash of fear twitches across their brows. These subtle cues occur before the rational mind catches up and reshapes the message for public consumption. And once you begin to notice them, you'll never unsee them. A sigh masked as a yawn, a tightened jaw passed off as concentration, a forced laugh hiding sadness, all tell you something deeper. Training yourself to catch these isn't about control, it's about empathy. When you see what people really feel, you can respond with clarity instead of confusion. The point of recognizing microexpressions is not to manipulate, confront, or interrogate, it's to understand. Imagine being able to see beneath the surface of someone's words, to sense fear when they say they're fine, to catch hurt beneath a sarcastic comment, to glimpse joy in a moment of vulnerability. That awareness changes the quality of your relationships. You stop reacting to appearances and start responding to reality. You offer compassion where you might have judged. You create space instead of pushing. And slowly others begin to trust you because they feel seen, not just heard. Emotional intelligence is not softness, it's strategy guided by compassion. Many misunderstand empathy as weakness, as if reading emotion makes you overly sensitive or easily swayed. But the truth is, emotional intelligence is one of the sharpest tools in the arsenal of any leader, negotiator, parent, teacher, or friend. To sense where others are emotionally gives you a head start in conflict resolution, decision-making, and alliance building. A Stoic doesn't need to be cold, they need to be wise. And wisdom involves seeing things clearly, especially human emotion. Recognizing microexpressions isn't about invading privacy, it's about acknowledging the truth that's already present, subtle, but screaming to be understood.
5. Ask questions that reveal, not impress. Most people ask to be heard. The wise ask to understand. In conversations, many speak not with the goal of discovery, but with the hunger for validation. They ask questions meant to steer things back to themselves, showcase intelligence, or assert control over the dialogue. But this self-focused approach rarely uncovers anything meaningful. In contrast, the wise practice asking as a form of listening. They view inquiry not as a performance, but as a bridge to understanding another's world, one built on humility and presence. Great questions disarm defenses. They open doors to deeper truths. When you ask sincerely, without ego, you invite honesty. The way a question is asked often determines whether someone shares or shuts down. Leading questions, judgmental phrasing, or interruptions create pressure, but questions rooted in genuine curiosity and patience allow someone to lower their guard. When you remove the agenda from your inquiry, people sense it. Their body relaxes, their voice becomes more open, and in that space, honesty can surface. You're not trying to get something from them, you're holding space for them to unfold themselves. Ask things like, "What was that like for you?" or "How did you handle that?" These aren't tricks, they're invitations. They show presence and respect, two principles Stoics lived by. Questions that center someone's experience invite depth. Instead of asking, "Why didn't you just?" which carries an air of judgment, ask, "What were you feeling in that moment?" or "What made that decision hard?" These questions aren't about digging dirt, they're about understanding context. They signal that you're not here to correct, but to comprehend. Stoic thinkers like Epictetus taught that listening is more noble than talking, because the former refines your mind and the latter risks exposing your ignorance. When people feel safe, they reveal themselves, and when you listen without interrupting, you learn what truly matters to them. There is power in silence. Ask, then wait. Let the answer breathe. Don't fill the pause with advice or a story of your own. Let the person explore their thoughts in real time. You'll find that the most illuminating insights often come after the first wave of speaking, when they've run out of rehearsed responses and start touching the truth beneath. This is when you see someone, not just hear them. When a person knows you are not rushing to speak, not judging, and not trying to fix them, they unfold at their own pace. And in that unfolding, relationships strengthen, trust grows, and understanding deepens.
Reading people isn't about control, it's about clarity. The clearer you see others, the fewer surprises life throws at you. These tools aren't just psychological, they're philosophical. They help you navigate a complex world with the calm of a Stoic and the mind of a strategist. You don't need to manipulate, you just need to understand. When you master that, you become unshakable. If this resonated with you, if you want to sharpen your awareness and live with greater confidence, make sure you're subscribed. And remember, the better you know others, the more powerfully you know yourself.